Are you ready to pin the prompt? Maybe you're a little nervous when it comes to AI prompting and you just can't get your requests quite right. Well, this session is going to be for you where you're able to explore what makes the best prompt and how can we use Space Designer Assistant to help us master the 4-step process when it comes to creating clear, impactful AI requests within our spaces. So when it comes to AI prompting, what we're going to focus on today is how we can confidently explain what a prompt is and why it even matters. By the end of the session, we're going to identify what makes a strong versus weak prompt. We're also going to practice using prompts in SchoolAI using the Space Designer. Then we're going to focus in on the 4-step prompting method so we're able to create stronger spaces to create higher impact learning experiences for our students. So what is a prompt? We have 2 prompts right here. Help my students write better. But we also have this one over here where it talks about how we have the AI acting as a middle school writing coach, the task, the detailed instructions, and then the guidelines. So I want you to just kind of think real quick. Which prompt would you kind of want your students to explore? Help my students write better, or the one about the middle school writing coach? If you pick the middle school writing coach, you're correct. This is a really strong prompt compared to help my students write better. What does the AI need to help your students write better? It needs a lot more information to help your students write better. Where if we have these 4-step processes in place, we're going to have a stronger prompt, which leads to better outcomes when our students are in a SchoolAI space. Right here, Space Prompt Guide, you can click on this resource. This is going to take you into a SchoolAI folder where you can learn more about prompting if you choose to. I can click on this PDF right here, and this is one of my favorites, where I can see the 4-step process where we're able to define the role, which over here was the role is you're acting as a middle school writing coach. Next up is our task. We want to provide that task. So once the role is established, we want to make sure that there's a task and it's defined of what we want our students to do. Your task is to help students revise their narrative essay. We're talking about what type of writing they're revising, right? We're also checking for clarity and details. Then step number 3 is we want to make sure we have detailed instructions. As we're kind of adding those instructions, we really want to build that timeline for the space so our students are able to go through this space and have it be successful. So here, we're going to start by asking the students to describe the main events in their story, then guide them to add sensory details and strong verbs. The last step is down here, where we are going to set those requirements. What are those boundaries that we have within the task? What do we want the space to do? What do we not want it to do? What are those guidance? Can they have sit-in starters? Can they not? And so that is where we can see keep feedback supportive, do not rewrite the students' work, ask questions, give tips to help them, but we want them to revise their own work. And again, this guide has a bunch of step-by-step supports to help you kind of see our prompting process and how you're able to build out those stronger prompts to really support student learning. There's also additional resources right here that can help as well. If maybe I want to support ML learners, or maybe I'm looking at prompting in a space creator. There's also this document right here that can be another support when you're making spaces too. So highly recommend checking out those additional resources on this slide. So the 4-step prompting, right? We're going to define the role, outline the task, provide those instructions, and set that requirement. So first step is we define the role. What is the AI? Are they a historical figure? Are they an expert? Are they a tutor? What is the role that the AI is taking place? Once you have the role, you're ready for this next step, where we're going to outline the task. We have a guide that we're going to use to students through the solar system, right? You're going to assist students in understanding the causes and effects. You're going to challenge students, right, with problem solving or practice problems to enhance their algebra skills. So what is the task that we want the AI to outline? After we outline the task, we're ready to provide those instructions, where we can share what we want the AI to help the students do. Begin by asking students what they know, right? Present students with scenarios. Provide students with 5 using numbers like 5 can really help the AI chatbot make this space supportive of every single student and create those better outcomes that you're really, really hoping and searching for. And so that right there is the third step. Now we're ready for that fourth step. And with this fourth step, we're really setting in those requirements. What is it that we want the AI space to do or not do? For example, if students answer correctly, they get to move on, right? Or maybe they don't. Maybe if they get it incorrectly, they need to do 5 more problems. Maybe you want it to adjust, provide sentence stems, give feedback. Think about all of those requirements that you might want. Maybe you want the AI to provide examples. Maybe you don't want the AI providing examples. We really need to tell the AI what we want and what we don't want when we're creating these spaces. And so now we're going to go through and we're going to use an assistant to really help us create high impact spaces. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Space Designer. So you're going to go to SchoolAI.com, sign in, and once you're signed in, we're going to head over to Assistants. Once you're in Assistants, Space Designer is right here, and you're going to hit Chat. So again, Assistants, Space Designer, Chat. Once you hit Chat, go ahead and share with Space Designer what is it that we want to build today. What type of space do you want to create? You can type your response. You can add in resources or documents. You can paste in standards. You can even use the microphone and use your voice. I want to create a quick bell ringer activity to support my students with a quick SEL check-in, where I can quickly see how their weekend went and what supports they might need. I also want to know what goals they have for the upcoming week. I just share a little bit about what I'm hoping to achieve. Here you can share a little bit about your learning goals or a problem that you maybe have in your classroom that you want to use a tool to help. From here, we can get suggestions by brainstorming with SchoolAI to really help us build out that 4-step process. You'll notice, what grade level and subjects do I teach? I teach 5th grade ELA. If you hit Shift Enter, it's going to take you into a new line. And then you can answer the next question. Do you want the space to be more conversational or structured? I want it to be a conversation. So again, this is where we're deciding what is it going to be like. If you have spelling errors, no worry. The space is going to be able to detect and correct those errors. And I want suggestions. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit Enter. So here are 4 different spaces that we could create. Weekend Story Buddy, we have a goal setting guide, mood meter, or Monday motivator. We can pick one of these, or we can mix these to create our own little space if we wanted to. I kind of like this Monday motivator. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste it. All I did was copy and paste it into here and let them know. You also could just say Monday motivator. Once the AI kind of gathers that you're ready to go, you've created and shared enough information, now it's going to go through that 4-step process. Step 1, define the role. What kind of AI persona do we want? A friendly coach, supportive peer, cheerful mentor, or something else? Let's go with cheerful mentor. Now we're ready for step 2, where we get to provide the task. What do we want this cheerful mentor to do? We want it to greet the students, ask about weekend highs and lows, check how they're feeling, help them set a positive goal. Yes, exactly. If you want to add anything, this is your chance where you're able to add or change anything about your prompt. Again, the more details that you provide up here in your kind of opening and sharing those questions, the better it's going to align with what you want. But again, you're able to adjust and modify and revise as you're working through the space. Now we're at step 3, detailed instructions, where we're going to add in those instructions. So now we want to greet the student by the name if possible. We want to ask, what was the best part of the weekend? What was their hardest part? How are they feeling as they start the week? Respond supportively. Yep, this looks great. I can talk about the tone. Again, you're able to add anything that you might want to add. Step 4, we're going to set those requirements. So now I want to make sure that it's warm, upbeat, positive, supportive tone. If the student's unsure, we can mentor them, remind students their responses are private, that the teacher is here to help if needed. Keep the conversation brief, right? 3 to 5 different exchanges. And with a positive, yeah, I also want to add only give one question at a time. So I only want the chat space to only give one question at the time. This can be really helpful for the students as they're working through. The last step is we always want the AI to draft it. Ready for you to draft. And what's going to happen is you're going to see a line here and a line all the way down here. And we're going to grab that and we're going to copy this over into spaces. So now that we've gone through the 4-step process of defining the role, creating our task, detailed instructions, and setting those requirements, we now have a really strong prompt. I'm going to copy this, and now I can go over to spaces and hit create. When I hit create, I can click on this black button right here. From here, I can paste in my prompt, and I can do quick Monday check-in. From here, I can add any standards, add any resources. If I add them over in Space Assistant, you can add those right here. And now I'm going to generate, so it will create my image. It's going to write my subtitle, my teacher description, and my student description. You always want to make sure you preview the space first. And so as we're previewing our space, we're able to see, are there any changes that we might want to make, right? What was the best part of your weekend? I don't know, right? And so I can act as that student and really kind of see how is this going to play out, right? I can be like, I don't know, right? I can see what's going to happen if I say that. What's going to happen if I don't say that? Any changes I want to make as I'm previewing, I can come over here in the AI prompt area and make those changes. Maybe, for example, I don't want it to ask one question at a time. I can say ask 2 questions at a time. Whatever you need to do to make sure that your space is successful is where you're able to add in those instructions and those details. Once you're all set, you're able to click Save and Launch, and you're able to launch this space with your students. You can either invite them by learning management system, QR code, or by URL. They can also go to SchoolAI.com and type in this code. Once your students join in that space, you're going to be able to see them added right into mission control, where you're going to be able to see what they said, right? The best part of my weekend was spending it with my family. And I can check in on my students, seeing that mission control data as they're responding within that space. So again, we use Space Designer to really help us in that assistant to create a strong prompt. From there, you're chatting with the assistant to make sure that it's getting those 4 steps. You want that role, you want the task, detailed instructions, and your requirements. Once you have all of those pieces, you're going to copy from that first line all the way to that last line. Then we went over after we were in our assistants. So again, we were in Space Designer. After you copy from this line all the way down here, and you'll notice too that different activities have different pieces too. Like this one has context, text, task, instructions, and requirements spelled out. Spaces, create, and then we click on this black create button. From here, I can paste in that prompt, add a title, and generate the rest. You'll preview, and then once you love your space, you're ready to save and launch for your students. So go ahead and create a space. See what you're able to come up with. Use Space Designer to really help you as you're building out your space. Add that title, generate all your fields, and then preview it. Edit any parts of it, and then launch it for your students. I want you to think about what is one way prompting can help you design more intentional spaces. How can knowing those 4 steps when it comes to prompting really help you design more intentional spaces for your classroom? Today, we really learned how we can confidently explain what a prompt is and why it matters. We looked at strong and weak prompts. We also talked about practicing using Space Designer to build out that prompt using the 4-step prompting method. Can't wait to see what spaces you create and how you use SchoolAI to support your students' learning and making those intentional spaces.